saw and a board and I'll cut it. I'll climb up a ladder with a hammer and a nail and I'll nail it. Well, we worked so hard to build a little house together. In the snow or the rain or the ice cold wind, whenever. No matter what the weather, we're together.
Hope you're all excited. I hope you're all excited. Howdy, partner. Lady, get your own damn drink.
Let me have a rule and a saw and a board and I'll cut it.
And I'll cut it.
Climb up a ladder with a hammer and a nail and I'll nail it.
I'll nail it.
Well, we worked so hard to build a little house together.
Together.
In the snow or the rain or the ice cold wind, whenever.
No matter.
Any weather.
We're
We're
together, you and me. We're together, you and me. 1 + 2 = 3.
Come on. It'll be okay. We need to get out of here, and quick. Come on now. Whoa. You okay, miss?
They came 3 days ago. And my husband, they...
Okay. Miss, you are safe now.
He was a good man, my Jakey. We was always sweet on one another.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I miss him every day, every moment. They turned me into a monster, Arthur. But my memories of him, they still pure.
I ain't afraid of dying.
I told you you'd see me again.
Well, my house and everything I own got burned to the ground.
He was my husband.
Is to be carried out, and your sentence called O'Driscoll. May God, in his infinite wisdom, have mercy upon your soul.
Now you know how it feels to watch somebody you love die and ruin my life! Die!
Shit!
Die!
Okay, let's go.
What's your name, miss? Miss
Adler.
Adler.
Sadie Adler.
There you go, I was on mute. Whoopsie daisy. Guys, thanks for joining me as always today for our interview with Alex McKenna, aka Sadie Adler. How good was that opening package, eh? Sometimes you forget about this amazing character that she was able to portray. Who have we got in here today? And oh, by the way, guys, straight after this with Alex, we've got the one and only Farah Kareem, aka Claudia. She will be on the show straight after this. We'll end this one. We'll go straight into that. It's a back-to-back double-header for you guys. Two badass women. And my first Australian guest, Claudia. That'll be great. Couple of Aussies sitting down. Who is in here? Everybody. Great to have you here. Green guy. Scott, we can't hear you. You can now, surely. We're all good now? I'll buy you a drink, Dan. I'll take it. Dan hit the barber. Exactly, man. The 1-2 fade. Nice intro, I know. The link's in the description for that intro. Gutted I can't watch this live because of the time difference. I know you'll smash it, Dan. Look forward to watching it first thing in the morning. Craig, it's always a pleasure, mate. Thank you. And if you want to join Craig and become a member of the channel, guys, you can. And it will allow me to see your message a little bit clearer if you want to get a message read out to the guest. It's always easier. You know, that little icon for me to notice. This will be sweet, Glenn. I know. It should be fun. It should be a lot of fun. She hasn't done many, but I'm hoping we have a great time. How do you get all these voice actors to do interviews with you? If I had a nickel for every time I heard that. I pay them millions of dollars. Millions and millions of dollars. Road to 100k, RV. We are so close to 100k, guys. If you are new here, please subscribe. We're very, very close. We're about 1,500, 1,400 away. And also, guys, Resident Evil Village review out. Just went out live. Some good feedback there. Great game. Really enjoyed it. Could finally talk about it. Fantastic game. Comes out tomorrow, I think. Most people. I'll have plenty of videos out for that game. And I hope you watch them, enjoy them. It's going to be a lot of fun. Some scary stuff in them. And plenty of interviews from actors and in that game. I'll let you buy me a drink, Dan. Fresh trim, yeah. You liking it? Love your live chats. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Get Keanu on, lol. Come on, Eddie. Come on, Eddie. Claudia's today as well. Straight after this, we go straight into Claudia. Double header, guys. Double header. Going to be a lot of fun. Good evening, Simon Diamond. Great name. Thank you, wedding guy. Yeah, Eddie, we've got a couple coming on. Get ready. I have school tomorrow and I can't watch this live. It's already 11 p.m. Oh, come on, man. You can stay up. Your mum won't mind. All you have to say is, I'm watching Dan. She'll go, oh, sorry, son. Please, stay up. Please. Jacob Hendricks. Actor. Jacob Hendricks. Who plays Jacob Hendricks? Sean Douglas. Oh, he hasn't been in much, actually. Nolan North. That'd be a dream to have him on. Thank you for watching, Edward. I appreciate it. Ari, howdy, brother. From Canada. Canada, love it. Welcome in, guys. Not yet named. Do you want me to name you? Arthur Morgan, Black Diamond, Viper, Cloaks, John Marsden, Mace, Clumsy Bandit. First time catching a stream. Love what you do. Keep it up. Thank you, Aziz. Appreciate it. No spoilers. Is the Resident Evil Village ending any good? Love the streams as always. Sam, I don't want to spoil it for you. It is a crazy, crazy ending. Whether it's good or not is up to you when you play it, man. Or watch me play it. I might do a live stream of the whole thing. Well, thank you for watching, Olga. I'm glad you're enjoying it as much as I am making it. Will Perry, how are you? Peanut, you're not late. It's about to start. We are just waiting on Alex now to get started. Lady D interview, most question. How did you see how thirsty these guys was for Big Mama? Oh, shit. Man, that interview would go off. I could get Lady Dimitrescu on. That would go off, man. Very funny. Gamerzoid Dan, favorite Red Dead character? I tell you what, Sadie's up there. Phenomenal character development in this game. For me, it would be John. Just a big fan. Focus me, god damn it. Here we go. What's your favorite, guys? Alright, guys, Alex is here. Let's get it cracking. I hope you enjoy it. We'll touch base after. Enjoy it, guys. Alex, we are live. Hey! Hi. How are you, Alex? Great to have you on.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. You can hear me all good?
Yeah. Yeah, great.
Fantastic. How have you been?
You know, can't complain. It's wild times. We're all doing our best, right? I mean, yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I love that background that you've got there. The environment
Thank you.
you're
That's
in.
my wallpaper. Yeah, I did this wallpaper in my office when I moved into my house.
Oh, wow. So you're based in LA?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you sort of have to be, don't you, if you want to be in this biz?
I mean, I'd say LA or New York, but especially with COVID right now, I mean, everything is self-taping. So you can kind of be anywhere.
Really?
It used to be LA or New York only, but I think particularly COVID has changed all that.
Well, you spent some time in New York, didn't you?
I did. I lived there for a few years. It's actually when I started working for Rockstar, I was living there just down the road.
I gotta ask, what's your reaction when you realize it's Rockstar, when you realize it's Red Dead Redemption that you're going to be a part of this massive series? What is your reaction?
Well, two different answers. I when I realized that I was working for Rockstar, I showed up at an address and was brought up to a floor and saw the logo, and my jaw hit the ground. I was in complete shock because when I auditioned for it, it was, I mean, so under wraps. It had a fake name. I assumed it was an Apple something, but I didn't even know. I didn't know if it was a commercial. I definitely didn't know it was a video game. I had no idea. And so all of a sudden I got the call from my agent after my second call back that I booked the job. And I was like, great, what is the job? I just know that I had to do an accent and it was super fun. And the character was really like cool. But I wasn't even given the sides before I got there. We were given, you know, a couple sheets of paper with a monologue on it. And I was told to, you know, memorize as much as I could, but bring them in, and did my little thing, and then did it again when I came back, but again, was not able to prepare at home. And then got to Rockstar headquarters, and the old school gamer in me who used to play Grand Theft Auto just could not believe my fortune that I was working for this company that I had loved so dearly. And then actually, it really wasn't until, it's almost embarrassing to say, but probably a couple months in to filming or to doing our motion capture at their, you know, undisclosed studios, that I put it together, or was sort of told what actually we were working on.
Oh, so you were never told it was Red Dead 2?
Absolutely not. No. So
you just get a code name?
Yes.
Do you remember the code name?
I do, but I'm not sure I'm at liberty to say.
Okay.
The NDAs were so thorough that I just err on the side of caution, because I would like to work for them again. You know?
You know what? I was thinking about this, just preparing for this, and I tell you what, I would love to see Red Dead 3, first female protagonist. How good would that be?
Oh, it would be a dream. It would be a dream.
It's got to happen. I know so many people that just love this character. I know you do. I mean, how many cameos and messages do you get every day? Hundreds.
Well, that's that's maybe overshooting it, but I do very much love Sadie Adler. I got to play her for 5 years, and so she holds a very specific place in my heart, and also maybe is the coolest character I've played to date in my career.
It's hard to top it, isn't it? 5 years. Is it really that long doing the performance capture for that game?
Yes, it wasn't consecutive days. Like, it wasn't 5 years.
But
you know, I got my first day, and then I don't think I got another call for nearly 6 months. And then I came back and started to, you know, it was one of those things where slowly but surely, as I guess the writers were writing and they were building the world, things started to come to light with character arcs and storylines and whatnot. But again, with how under wraps and top secret this was, we didn't get, you know, normally when you're doing a film or a television show, you get a full script. And so you can do your job deciding how you're going to essentially orchestrate your storyline, you know, how you want to create your symphony with the highs and the lows and whatnot beforehand. And, you know, you get to do that work to make it easier, because most of the time you shoot out of sequence. So you could do the end and the beginning. And so if you haven't done your work, you're not going to know the emotional impact that's supposed to have, where you need to be, what's happened right before. I mean, the greatest actors that I know and that I try to model myself after do that kind of work, where, you know, you have your sticky notes and you're like, okay, this scene is here. This was here before, this was here before. And you have your, you know, prompts or whatever you need to get to what you want to do and how you want to perform. This was a little different because we did that first scene, and strangely, it was the beginning of Sadie in chapter 2, who I a lot of people don't even realize that is Sadie until they play the second or third time. So I really didn't know who she was going to become. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know she was a real character for like a while. It wasn't until like year 2 of working on this that I was like, oh shit, she's amazing. This is so cool. But, you know, and funny enough, we did the epilogue and whatnot I'll try no spoilers, but we did that stuff towards the very end. So that was fortunate, but everything in between, I mean, I had no idea. We were just kind of going on the fly and just creating, at least I was trying to infuse this character with as much personality and creating my backstory and doing whatnot, but then, you know, getting scenes a few days before, and then only being able to run those lines and prepare them with my other Rockstar castmates, because we had all signed the same NDA. I couldn't even tell my friends. Half of them thought that I had joined the CIA because I would come home with like bruises, and all of a sudden they were like, why do you want to go shooting? And I was like, no reason. They're like, so you're training to do what? And I was like, can't talk about it, I'm sorry.
Why are you always wearing those cowboy hat and boots all the time?
Well, it's funny. We had to, all the females in the game had to wear heels. So we didn't wear cowboy boots.
Oh my
We were
goodness.
the Sid Charisses of the Western, the Western world we brought to life, where, I'm climbing up a water tower in like heels that are chunks and trying not to get caught jumping off things or break an ankle, because they were the good boots, but like still like heels.
Why was that? What was the reason for that? Just
unclear.
I still don't know to this day.
I don't know. I will say though, it's a really good workout. Like I remember hearing about a fad where people there was these like female classes where they would be working out in heels. And I was like, that is just batty. Why would anyone do that? That's hard on your knees, your poor palms, the palms of your feet. You know what I'm trying to say? The balls of your feet, like, ow. And it is so much more pressure. And yet I do think it does good things for the backside. I don't think I'll ever, do that myself, but it had its perks.
You guys must have been exhausted after every day of shooting. Surely you just go home and just drop on the bed.
It is. I mean, it's very physical, often, and I don't know if your watchers or listeners know this, but, a lot of the time we get called voice actors, and that's fair sometimes because I do a ton of audiobooks. I played Senna in Legend of Korra. All of that stuff is voice acting. What we did in Red Dead Redemption is not that. We did something called performance capture, which is more like we're doing theater in the round, and we're in this actual studio. We are dressed up in these, I call them my scuba diver superhero cat suits, where there are these like black long sleeve jumpsuits. We have these reflective balls all over us so that the cameras that are everywhere can pick up our every movement. And then we have helmets on that have cameras that are like directly in our faces, picking up our micro expressions, which is why so many of our characters look so much like us, because it
is you
rendering our faces essentially. So, what we did there was definitely a lot more physical. We were playing off each other. I mean, when we go to hug, the hardest thing was like, don't get the wires crossed,
It's like this. You don't really go in, do you?
Well, you try, but it's like, and another thing that people don't know is that we had obviously fake guns and whatnot, but they had them weighted. So Sadie has a sawed-off shotgun, and I would be doing my part holding with one arm this quite heavy shotgun. And, you think, well, okay, sure, it's like a weight. It's not. And also these like tiny little movements to make it look as real as possible, because obviously we're not actually firing. I'm not getting a kickback. But I would come home and my entire back would be like seized up.
Really?
I was going to like acupuncture. I had to go, to Chinatown and get the amazing massages, just everything, because because it was so physical. And, I don't carry around a shotgun with one arm. I don't jump off of horses all day, every day, though I do ride. I don't, stab people. And that's a really specific, jerky movement.
I thought you would be a stabber.
It's, well, don't piss
I won't
me
cross
off.
you, don't worry. Craig here says, please ask Alex what it's like to be the best female character in video game history. How's that?
Oh, shucks. Craig, is that Craig? Thank you for that question, couched in a compliment. I will say it has been so cool. You know, it's a real privilege to be a part of a game that is a piece of art. And then it's a real privilege to play a just badass character. The fact that she's also female and an autonomous character outside of being somebody's wife, somebody's mother, somebody's love interest. She's just this incredible character with such a gift. I mean, you know, she's one of the gang. She rides with the boys. She fights better than most of them. You know, that was a really, really cool thing, particularly given the time period. And to become, you know, her own boss, and it was the coolest thing ever. And also to be a fan of the thing that you're working on is just like, you know, how lucky can one person get? And maybe we should have known that it would have been a big deal, but I think that sometimes can be the kiss of death when you're working on something. You know, I knew that Red Dead Redemption 1 was beloved, but I actually hadn't played it. And when I got this job, I was like, no, not even going to look at it, because, you know, it's a prequel and I will play it after. I don't want anything giving me, you know, I did a lot of like Western research, watched a ton of movies, Roger Clark, Rob Wiedoff, Davis, we would all be like talking about what we thought this world was. We were giving each other, you know, incredible things to watch, articles, just really trying to immerse ourselves in the time. But also, you know, we got to play, and the writing was so good, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I never had been to a Comic-Con before I got to be on the other side of a booth, and it's the coolest thing, because it's not like a fan's coming up and I'm, you know, like, oh, cool, I'm Alex, like, here you go. We just nerd out over how fucking dope this game is. And it's so authentic, you know, it's like really fun, because for 5 years I couldn't talk about it. And so now anytime anybody loves it, I mean, it's like, it lights me up. I mean, I hope that comes across. It's very, very cool.
It does. How could it not? It's honestly probably the most detailed video game in history that's ever been released. I mean, you've seen it. It's just unbelievable.
It's magic. I don't understand how those programmers with zeros and ones can create personal accountability in a game. You know, you kill something, you treat something like an ass, and all of a sudden the townspeople are like, we're going to treat you like it shifts. How does that happen with zeros and ones? You know, you leave something, you kill it, and you don't use it for food. You don't give it to, like, it rots. That's never happened in a game before. That's mind blowing. It's just, yeah, it's really cool.
100%. Drive-by commentator here, he says, congrats on bringing a very motivational, endearing boss lady to life. One who even convinced a dying partner on their last legs to get back on the saddle and give it their all.
Aw, thank you. I feel like you, wait, who said that?
Drive-by commentator is the name.
Well, drive-by commentators, I appreciate that take on it, because I sometimes think Sadie can be a wee bit misunderstood. Like, yes, vengeance is real. She wants her revenge for sure, but I do think she is one of the most loyal of the gang. I mean, when she finds real kinship with Arthur, and I think that mutual respect, you know, drives them both in really good ways to both grow and to ultimately get their redemption. You know?
I tell you what, some of the acting that you did, you really embodied the character. You knocked it out of the park. But how was it like doing some of those more emotional scenes, one-on-one with Roger? You know, like sort of towards the end of that character's life in the game. Do you remember some of those scenes, like some of the emotional crying scenes, or talking about Jake? Do you remember those? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, one of the first emotional scenes I did in the game was with Abigail, So with Callie, who plays Abigail in Red Dead Redemption 2. And it was one of them, I think, was towards the beginning, because it was when we were still doing the chapter 2 and everything had been taken from Sadie, and she had been violated by the O'Driscolls, and just had her world burned to the ground, essentially. And it was towards the beginning of working on this. And so I remember Rod Edge, our director, me being like, so how like full blown do you want me to go with this? Because, I know we have the camera, but I also know that you guys are animating. So, and he was like, full blown, in his like wonderful English accent, which I won't do for you, but I sometimes can. And I was like, full blown. Okay, great. And we had that, like, both of us are crying. There's like snot, and I don't know like to what degree they did that, but it was illuminating for how the rest of what we do goes. There wasn't any like half acting, because it's not our faces on a camera. It was all of everything, truly emoting, truly crying. I'm actually spitting on the floor, like things that so with Roger, that a lot of that emotional stuff came towards the end, and it was not hard.
Really?
No, well, I mean, it was emotionally difficult, but it wasn't hard to get there, because we had this experience together. And so when you're embodying the reality of your fiction, and you've had it so downloaded, truly downloaded in your body, and you're there, and I'm Sadie and he's Arthur, and we're about to part and lose each other, essentially. Like it's devastating. Like, so even talking about it now, I want to get emotional, because it really, like, it lives in you. I mean, that's what you can hope for as an actor, that you're doing your job, and that your creations, your imagination gets so strong in your mind that you can just go there. That's like almost no prep necessary. We're there, we see it. I mean, it was very cool. Our directors would let us look at some of the renderings, and they weren't, where they were going to be necessarily, but it was like, okay, what's the temperature? What's this? Okay, how do we incorporate the landscape with, and it fuels the experience. And, Roger Clark is just an epic actor. Everybody, like such consummate just talent all around. They were really incredible to work with. So that's another thing, when you're getting fed by your partner in a scene, it's like magic and electricity can happen. And
I've had Ben and Roger and Rob on, all amazing guys, great guys,
aren't they?
Lots of passion for the game and the business. Lover King says, hello, I love Sadie, easily one of my favorite characters ever. Can you please ask Alex, has she seen the South Park episode where they reference Red Dead 2?
What? No? Okay, let me write that down. I'll be looking that up right after this. What?
That's pretty cool. I haven't seen it either, so I wouldn't know.
Thank you. No. Okay, I am writing that down now. South Park. Do they remember what it's called? I'll just look up South Park Red Dead.
Lady Demetress says, hello, Alex, you're my favorite character in Red Dead 2 after Arthur Morgan and John. You did an amazing job. Outlaws for life.
Outlaws for life. Absolutely. A few of us in the gang, so we're all in this text chain, and we talk a lot. I still have this dream that, we all one night, whether it be in New York or LA, or if, we're at a con together, go and get tattoos that say Outlaws for life.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Some of the cast doesn't have tattoos, but I'm like, yeah, what's another one? Just do it. Great.
So did you get emotional on your final day shooting? Do you remember your final day?
I do. And so we didn't, because it's Rockstar, you actually don't know when your final day is.
Oh, no.
Because you don't know. So there was about like 2 fits and starts where I was like, this has got to be it. And then, Roger would say, but I think we have a little bit more to do. And I was like, oh, okay. No, you're right. So, I'm constantly gearing up to have my final day, but my actual final day was in the booth because we did maybe 10-15% of
just voice.
Of just voice, and it was sometimes just the shouts. So if it's background, or if they needed to overlay more things on top of when we're riding in the car or whatever, and it's loud, and what have you.
It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. So there was a bit of that, but that I realized was going to be, they had rescheduled the release date, and I knew that they couldn't. Like, we were at the end of when we would need everything to be done, and I burst into tears.
Really?
And I tried to keep it together, but it was like silent tears streaming. Like, I didn't get like blubbery, but it was like just couldn't stop crying. It was like hugging everybody and just being like, it's been such a privilege to work for you. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's sweet. That's amazing. So when the game finally releases, are you looking at the reviews straight away, and are you overwhelmed by how positive they were?
That's a really good question. It's a long game. And it shocked me that within 4 days, there were already people who were reviewing. Now, I think maybe a handful of people got it like a little bit early. But I knew that part of the Rockstar team who was, working out the kinks or doing whatnot had been playing, the different, maybe beta or whatever it was before they finally finished it. And to see some of their reactions, like when I walked in, because they had spent so much time with Sadie, gave me like a little bit of an inkling that it was going to be good, that people I think we're all our harshest critics. And so when you're working on something, you want it to be fantastic. And nearly 2,000 people worked on this game over the course of 5 years. And every single person had a really important job to do. And so I think that when you have people who have been working on this thing and, want it to be amazing, and you've spent time with people, you just know that it's an energy that happens. Everyone was stoked. And it felt like this had the potential to be something that people were going to love and be excited about. And then I actually, because I was living in LA when the game got released, I had moved back in between the 5 years of filming. I went because I heard that a bunch of the subways had a few of our faces, our characters' faces. And I mean, I've never been on a giant billboard before, and I think maybe because too, it's not actually my face, but it is, but it's not, it's an avatar essentially. I was able to, yes. Yeah. I mean, I have a photo on my Instagram where it's me right next to, it's silly. It's me as if I was in, the Old West. Like, it's very, the likeness is there. And I was able to just be, a fan and excited about this thing that people were going to have a good time playing and love the world and just be amazed by. But I will say that I wasn't anticipating the way it actually connected a lot of people. And that's something that was brought to my attention at the Comic-Cons, where, there was a father and a daughter, and he came up to me with tears in his eyes, and he was like, my daughter and I have never had anything we connected over. And we play this game together, and we both love your character. And I was like, it's amazing, or somebody else who's now become, I would say a friend, who was a fan of the game, and she had fought for our country, and she had gotten injured in duty essentially, or at least while active, and said that playing this game got her through surgery after surgery. Or another young girl her name's Jenny. She's the sweetest dear ever. We met her at a Comic-Con, and she suffers from a degenerative disease and, has to have these very, very painful procedures. And apparently they allowed her to bring in her her, console and to play the game while hearing these stories makes you realize the power of what we do, the power of storytelling, the power of creating a world where people can hopefully deal with their actual reality in a better, kinder, more compassionate way, and yes, it's a break from life, but also, if you treat your horse well and you treat the town well and you're doing something for the love of your community, you have more opportunities. There are missions that you don't get when you don't play for high honors, and I feel like that's a very cool metaphor for life.
Great answer. Very good answer. Ari here says, what was your favorite Western? Do you have a favorite Western that you go to?
Like to watch?
Yeah.
Oof. There are so many good Westerns out there. I just recently rewatched The Assassination of Jesse James.
Oh.
And I think that's got some stellar stuff in it.
Oof.
Oh, mind blowing.
Yeah.
3:10 to Yuma is super fun. Then you have all your classic John Waynes that are great. I remember when I was very young, as a girl, seeing Bad Girls for the first time. An early Mary Stuart Masterson and Drew Barrymore and Andie MacDowell film, and I had never seen females be the the leads. There was Annie Oakley and whatnot, but that was actually a really important film to me when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I love Westerns. I grew up riding horses. There's something about riding a horse with your backpack and setting up a tent and that's
you're living
life.
Yeah. Feel the air. I love it. Did you, when you were growing up, so you said you rode all through your childhood, really?
I did. I think I was on my first horse at 4 or 5, but it's an expensive thing even when you don't own a horse or whatnot. And so around 11, I found this program where if I was with this, small ranch essentially, where if I put in the time and I'd be mucking stalls and I would be doing what I would get lessons. And so I think I went 3-4 times a week, mostly riding bareback. And then when I would go to summer camp, I would ask to do my, work or contribution with the horses. And so I get to go on the horse camping trip and we'd get to ride horses in water. And, it was the work. You get up earlier than, doing any of the other things because that's when the horses need to be fed in the stalls and their hooves need to be cleaned. And I don't know, they're a very majestic animal. And they've been portrayed in, hieroglyphics and in mythology. And there is something that is very, very special and healing and also life affirming about a 2-ton animal that you create a relationship with. And so the person growing up through high school didn't actually believe in breaking horses. And so she was more of a horse whisperer. And I got to see that from, the other side of things, and ended up getting to train a couple horses and doing that. And then of course, after college, I again, it's an expensive, it can be an expensive hobby.
So what's your reaction when you see in game that the horse, there's some interesting details with some horses, if you know what I mean?
I do. I think that it's important that everybody who has a job has some fun with it. And to infuse a little bit of humor in there is great. And it makes sure that other people are paying attention. So that is my answer to that question.
Yeah, I like it. Bushy here says, Alex, I love your work and the cast of Red Dead 2, all amazing. Jigsaw here says, how was the voice acting when you had to return for the Stranger mission in Red Dead Online? Great job acting a badass character. Jigsaw.
Thank you. It was great. It was, it was a lot of fun. We it was I was I love Sadie so much. So I always, if Rockstar called, if anybody, I wouldn't even hesitate, So to get to do a little bit of extra Sadie anything was a real treat. And it felt cool to see some of her story beforehand, because I knew that she and her husband shared the workload and they were equals. But I actually hadn't met Jake when we were filming Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
So, it was cool. It was cool to see her before and to get to choose how she was after we filmed everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tom here says, Sadie's last missions with Arthur, I think, were beautifully poetic and melancholy. What was your favorite mission to act as well as play in the game? From Tom.
That is a great question. I mean, I would say that when Arthur accompanies me to go do my final...
The O'Driscolls, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Come on, guys. It's been long enough, surely.
Okay. Well, no, I still.
Everyone here's played it, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, have you finished it? I don't know.
No.
But towards that it was incredibly emotional, and also because of the state of his health at that point, it just felt like this wild culmination of this experience that we had gone through. And again, it was like towards the end of shooting. So, it was everything. It was emotional, it was passionate, it was connected, and I had the opportunity to at least one time go full Sadie, which became a kind of running joke, nobody should go full Sadie. And full Sadie is when we do our scenes, and a lot of the time it's a couple takes, sometimes it's one take, other times you're working it out, and it can be however many it takes to get what they want to essentially print. And I think we'd mostly gotten it, and we'd been working out. And then, because again, we're toward the end, I was like, hey, could I just do one? And this is sort of something actors or performers will know. It's called like a fuck it take. It's a take where, you already have it in the can, it's in the bag. You can just try one, just do whatever, and you're not trying to like get it right. It's more, creative. Hey, I've been working on this thing and I had some other ideas, and who knows, maybe it'll be usable. Sometimes that's when magic happens. And other times it's like, all right, well, we tried something. It didn't work. Cool. We didn't need it. Fine. But it's just, it's more for fun than anything. And it's great when you can do that, because it means you have a little extra time, because on sets, time is money and you're trying to get everything done. So I get to do this fuck it take where I am getting my epic revenge on the O'Driscolls. And we've got with the guns, they were actual like heavy replica things. With the knives, they were like little handles with duct tape essentially and foam, so that, and obviously it's a dummy on the floor, and I'm, so Arthur and I are having our scene, and it's emotional, and we get there, and I just start screaming, and I'm just like with the knife, and I'm crying, there's snot everywhere, and I, before it'd been like in the chest and whatever, and I, for those of you out there that know the Lorena Bobbitt story, let's just say Sadie does that. And I remember, because I knew that it was too far, like it was just too far. But we hear cut, and then we do our T pose, which is what you have to do, and I look, and most of the people there are men. We have few women on set, but unless I was at the campsite, I'm typically the only female in the scenes that I'm in. And I look out at everybody who's behind the scenes, and they're just could not believe what they had just seen.
Oh, wow.
And Rod, as I'll never forget, not even with a smile, he goes, well, we won't be using that. But I was like, okay. You said I could go full Sadie, man. I mean, that's how I would feel. Like, just,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's
Really?
so many fun missions. I mean, one of my favorite missions that actually got shifted around with Roger was when we're like reading the letter on to the post office, where it's like to the general store, and that scene changed. We actually redid a section of that because the manager of the general store and I were like, he was making fun of me because of the clothing that I had chosen, and I lost my marbles on him essentially. That was actually really funny because we had done it a couple times, and it was just very quippy dialogue, and it was a good time.
Do you remember the line?
Honestly, everything was good.
Yeah, I know. Do you remember the line? Get your own damn drink.
Of course. Oh yeah.
No. Have you had a chance to play the full game yet? Because I know Roger's 100%ed it. I think Ben's 100%ed it. Those two nerds. No, they. Yeah. Have you had a chance or what?
I have not 100%ed it. No. But I have played it, and I have watched a lot of it. There's something about I have like a hard time sitting still for lengthy periods of time. And also when I was playing a lot of games in college in my early 20s, I would get so into it that my hands would cramp and my thumbs would have blisters all over them. Like, I don't know how to not have my feelings get like infused into my body. So I can't be one of those people who's just like mentally like doing this and it's just like casual. And because of the other things that I do in life, like writing and gardening, I can't have mitts on with blisters all over, and like arm cramps like a velociraptor. So I let other people play so that I could see everything, and it's so beautiful. It's like watching a film.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. I played a bit, but again, like I actually get emotional when I accidentally punch the horse, and it's not worth it. Like, I don't need to get upset about that, but I do. So yeah, no, not myself. I have not.
So do you think you want to pursue more video game work, more motion capture, performance capture? Is that something you want to do more of?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if anyone will have me. Yeah, absolutely. I love to storytell, and I want to play interesting characters. And so if there's an opportunity to do that, I don't think I care which medium.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what medium. 100%. No. Legend of Korra, I just wanted to quickly ask you, how was your experience on that?
The best.
Yeah?
The best. I mean, what a cast.
Oh.
What a great story. The first Airbender was amazing. And then to do Legend of Korra and to get to play Korra's mother was so cool. And then to play, it was just one episode that I was in with her, but Eve Marie Saint played my mother. And it was mind-blowing. I mean, this is a woman that I had watched in, on the waterfront, and just an epic icon of brilliant films. And I remember seeing her name on the call sheet and being like, yeah, Eve Marie Saint, it like didn't process that this legend would be there doing this with us. And so it's actually one of the very few times I've ever been starstruck. Yeah, truly. And actually was like, could we get a photo together? And it's, terrible lighting. It's awful in it. But I asked Janet Varney, I was like, do you want to come here? She was like, and so we take this photo, and afterwards Jen already took me aside and she was like, I'm so glad you asked because I didn't want to. And I felt the same way. And I was like, there's a fine line between being somebody's colleague and admiring them. And there's another thing between like just being a fan that like in not being a fan is bad. It's like in an inappropriate context. Like we're at work, we're doing a job. Like, is that an okay time to be like, can we take a photo? But she was absolutely so lovely. And it turns out, yes, I just think I had never had that like excited feeling where I just couldn't believe my eyes that this person that I never thought I would meet, I was working with. But PJ Byrne and I are still friends. Like there's that experience was amazing. And it's really cool.
I would have been like that for J.K. Simmons because I remember he was on that show as well. Simon here says, Alex, I loved your work in Red Dead. Who was the most fun in the cast? Oh, I think that's a tough one. They're all fun.
They're all fun. And we have, I swear, anytime the Comic-Cons ask if I'd like to go, if my castmates are going, I'm in. Because
yeah, nice.
We all adore each other. We are all so different and yet bizarrely have a lot in common with our characters. There's some like real essential traits that we share. And you get us all together and it's a blast. It's a blast.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us take for granted being a part of Red Dead Redemption 2. And we got to forge these very close bonds with one another. And there's so much respect amongst us. And so, to get to go to whether it be Philadelphia or Toronto, or in October, I'm going to Scotland with Rob and Roger. Like,
nice.
Come on. Like, what could be more fun than that? With like
Nice.
2 of my buddies? It's awesome.
Love it. Val says, besides Micah being a horrible character, what was it like working with Peter?
Okay. Peter, he's the best. He's amazing. I can't even pretend. He is so funny. So funny.
Yeah.
I will say he did, when he's on set and he is playing Micah, it creeped me the fuck out. And in the very beginning, before I really knew Peter, I saw him in Brooklyn because we both lived in Brooklyn at the time. And he was, I think, with his daughter. And I fully was like, I'm not. Also, I didn't even know if I could engage, like it's one of those things, like none of us were allowed to follow each other on social media and we weren't allowed to, we had to be very careful about being friends. But I would be lying to say that was the primary reason I didn't go up to him on the street. It was more because I didn't know him well enough and he is so good as Micah that I was like, I don't want to, no, thank you. But no, he's the greatest. He's so hilarious. And, if he's around, you're sure to be laughing at some moderately obscene comments and jokes. And, he's a delight.
I also got to ask you about Malcolm in the Middle and 2.5 Men. I know you did an episode of each. Do you remember the set on both of those? I know different periods in your life, but can you just give us a little glimpse what that was like for you?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Malcolm in the Middle, I got to be Malcolm's first kiss. And I'm pretty sure it was also Frankie Muniz's first kiss.
There you go.
So the episode is this like very cool sliding doors thing. So it's like whether or not their mom takes them to the bowling alley or their dad takes them to the bowling alley and how that changes their experience. And so, I might have been 15 at the time because I don't think I drove myself to set, but
wow.
I was very fortunate as a young actor where I went to actual school. I wasn't homeschooled. And if I got good enough grades, acting got to be my after school activity. My parents were, I still did other extracurricular stuff, but this was something that I chose. It wasn't like forced upon me by any means. So I get this role. I'm like, cool, that's a really funny show. Great. And, now looking back, I'm like, I worked with Bryan Cranston? Oh my goodness. But we did it, and it was super fun because of the sliding doors thing. And you know, I had an on-screen kiss maybe once or twice before, but I'm playing this like little bit of an older girl, and they want this like obscene like just kiss. And I remember us both turning bright red, because it's, you know, a strange thing when you're 15 and he was probably 14 to be.
It's a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like sweet and it's funny, but you know, you're trying not to laugh, and it was.
The crews everywhere.
They're all so funny on that show that keeping a straight face, I think, was the hardest thing to do. But it was great. Everybody was so fun. I had to have somebody, well, I got my soda spit in my face, like, I don't know how many times, like three maybe, that was the first time for me. It was great. It was, you know, it's very cool to be a part of a show that's so much fun. And, you know, if anybody's staying home during this pandemic still, like, I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix or YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, it would be.
You know,
so any upcoming projects you can talk about? I know you were in the Invite, a little short film about a vampire who needs to take a shit. I'm being serious here, guys.
Well,
check it out.
That same director, Jordan Rader, I just did another short film for her that's called Slow Draw, and it's actually set in the Wild West, and I play this gunslinger named Vicky Bile. And it turns out that my Red Dead Redemption 2 skills with being able to, you know, flip my gun and do it real quick and
helped.
So yeah, no, I mean, they're still there. It's like riding a bike. I was like, wow, okay, this is fantastic. And actually, you know, the people that were around on set, some of whom were in it, were these reenactors. Like they'd have like Wild West weekends where everybody lives in this town that they built and make believes it's like cosplay, but like for a weekend in a world with characters, and they don't break it. So it was very cool to hear their feedback that I was really great with the gun and that it seemed like I was in that time. And I was like, wow, it's because I spent a lot of time in that time, you know. But that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be great. I did a small, very different part in a film. I don't know when it'll be coming out, called Doula, directed by Cheryl Nichols. It has Will Greenberg, Troy Belisario, and Aaron Shriver in it, with a cameo with Chris Pine and myself.
Wow.
And yeah, and then other than that, I'm working on a podcast that I would say be on the lookout for. You know, we're just developing it now, but it's called Good Grief, The Gains of Loss.
Nice.
And it will be interviews with, you know, people who have experienced loss, different kinds of loss, and then also experts in the field, because I have lost both my parents and my grandparents, and have had to deal with that from the bureaucratic side of things to, you know, being the trustee of a will and estate to, you know, just everything in between. So I feel like, given that I'm my age, and I lost everybody by the time I was basically 31, I would love to have a more accessible platform for people that are going through different stages of grief or are caught in the maelstrom of it all. So that's one thing.
That's amazing.
And then thanks. And then other than that, just, you know, writing. I do a bunch of audiobooks, auditioning, and yeah, I guess that's
pretty busy woman.
Pretty much. Well, I try. I mean, I think when you're an artist, you have to have your hand in a lot of different pots, essentially. A, because it fuels you creatively, but B, because you got to kind of be a hustler. You know?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
Just because you did one big thing does not mean it's going to mean you get a bunch of jobs off of it. I mean, I think a lot of people are like, oh, you must be in a lot more video games. And I haven't been in one since, you know, nobody's called me up and been. So I don't know why that works the way it works. I've seen it with other friends who have been in huge films and then they don't work for a year. Who knows? It's a fickle business.
Yeah. Well, is there anything you want to say to the fans watching now? I really appreciate your time, Alex, and it's flown by the last 50 minutes. We'll have to have you back if you'll.
Yeah, anytime. I mean, if there's more questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I just thank you for playing. I mean, truly getting to connect with everyone and to have a shared love of something, I think helps so many different kinds of people realize that we're far more connected than we often give the world credit for, you know? I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is so beautiful and poignant and affects so many people and draws in gamers that have never been gamers before because it really speaks to the human experience. You know, a lot of people will always say, I've never cried in a video game before. I've never felt so connected to a horse or an animal or, you know, whomever in it. And I think that's a really special thing. So thank you for sharing in that world and in that love of this piece of art, and Outlaws for life.
And make sure you follow Alex on IG, Instagram. It's Max Magpie. That's right. Or is it? Yeah, Max Magpie. And then Twitter is Miss Alex McKenna.
Yeah, I don't go on Twitter very often because it stresses me out.
You're an IG girl.
I am an IG girl. Even before I understood it was a social platform, I thought it was just this almost like a Flickr or Pinterest, like to keep my own photos. And then, yeah, I was one of the early subscribers to it. And
It's very fun to watch your life unfold through that, or a little bit of, glimpse or. So, no, look, Alex, thanks so much for coming on. It has been a real pleasure. And again, I'll have to have you back on if you'll come back.
Absolutely. I mean, I love, again, this was such a special experience, and the game is this like gift that keeps on giving. I know I sound really like gushy about it, but that's honestly because it's how I feel. And then, watch me in the game, motherfucker, like just like screaming. But for the most part, there's nothing but rainbows and sunshine with how I feel towards the game and to the fans. And
awesome.
Thank you for having me, truly.
No, thank you, Alex. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Take care.
Okay. You too. Bye.
There you have it, guys. I will be back in 5 minutes with Claudia Demit from The Boys, Call of Duty. I hope you'll join me. I will see you on the flip. Don't you go anywhere. Don't you go anywhere, you two. Don't you?